You know, I can't even hardly believe the transformation of the red paint on this Evo. I mean, just look at this transformation. It's actually red again. It basically went from pink to red. And no, I didn't repaint the car. And again, looking at the hood, this is an obvious pink hood. Could literally write on it if I wanted to. But then look at this after. It's got that nice red pop to it. So let's talk a little bit more about how I did this. I'm going to preface this video by saying I'm really not a body guy. I'm not an expert in this area, so I would suggest you kind of consult and research multiple areas before really trying to do some of this by yourself, just because I hope to learn from you guys too on this, on what I could have did better or done differently, and I'm not really sure how long all this is going to last either. So just give that warning up front. But the first thing you got to do if you're going to do anything like this with your car is, of course, just give it a good clean. This car probably hasn't been washed in a very long time. So I got it all cleaned up, tried to get, of course, most of the dirt and grime off of it. So got to clean our car before we can do anything else. Next, I picked up a couple essential items, some applicator pads, microfiber cloth, some compound, some finishing polish, and some wax. You can get different versions of all this stuff, of course, but one of the main things here is this compound. This is kind of the main thing that really brought the color back to my car. And then the polish, from what I understand, is just a finer version kind of the compound. So you usually do the compound, then the polish, and then finally you just add some wax. And of course, everybody that does this has to put that line in there so you can see the difference. So, you know, the unoriginal me did the same thing so I could see the difference as I'm doing this. You want to read the label on all this stuff to make sure you're doing it right. A couple main things here, of course: wash the vehicle first. Second, you want to do this not in direct sunlight or too much heat, I believe. So I had it in the shade. It was a good 75, 80 degree day when I did this, but that still seemed to work out all right for me. And then we want to shake our bottle and then put some of the compound on our applicator pad. And then you want to work in smaller sections here, which I didn't always do, to be honest with you, but you are supposed to work in no larger than 2 foot by 2 foot sections. So kind of work in one section at a time and really kind of take your time with this. Of course, I could use a DA or some sort of buffer to do the same thing as well. Honestly, I just didn't want to spend a lot of money to do this. And it was kind of rewarding to do this by hand, to actually see this as I went through. But you could certainly use a DA or a buffer, but it was good, I think, to show everyone that you could do this too. I mean, I probably spent 6 hours on this, maybe doing it myself. Could have certainly cut that down if I would have had something else, but I just kind of want to show people you can do this on the cheap as well. So this is kind of a wax on, wax off style. You're just kind of putting it on with the applicator pad, and then you're going to wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. And really, this compounding, doing this compound is what really kind of brought the color back for me, for my car. And this is, of course, just a quick example. All I did was use the compounding once, and you can certainly see it kind of made that pink turn into red. And you will see the line as well as I pull up the tape to make it more definitive, that you can see exactly what it looks like and how much better it looks. And what we're really doing here, from my understanding, again, not an expert in the body work, but we're basically kind of very lightly sanding off a whole layer of the paint. This is single stage paint, which means that it's going to be, the clear coat is kind of right into the paint layers. So we're not just like sanding down clear coat, we're actually sanding down the whole paint. And that's why we're able to perform kind of this restoration here. So what I did is I kind of did one body panel at a time. And again, I probably worked in larger sections than I should have, but I just kind of wiping it in and then wiping it off. And obviously this car was paint corrected once before, from what I heard from the previous owner, probably about 10 years ago. So I mean, if this holds up for me for at least 4 or 5 years and stays red, I'll be super happy with that. If it makes it 10 years, crazy, awesome. And perhaps if I do this again later, I can learn more about, doing this a little bit better and getting better at it, since this was my first time really trying this. One of the things that's became a bit tricky to me is kind of, honestly, kind of the removal of the compound when it came to using that second microfiber cloth to wipe it off. Sometimes I've felt like I wasn't sure if I was getting it all off right away or not. They say on the compound to not let it dry. So I was kind of trying to just kind of wipe it on and then pretty much wipe it off right away. However, I will say I did feel like sometimes I could come back to it a couple hours later and almost see a little bit better where there was some stuff I didn't catch, and then get it off later. Again, I don't know the proper way for sure of doing that, but I had nothing to lose on this paint job, so I just kind of gave it a shot. So now we're working on the hood. It's worth pointing out a couple things that I learned as well and kind of new. But the usually you'll want to tape off your edges or tape off your trim and do stuff like that. Or I did remove this hood vent eventually, and mainly that is because any other colors like this black, if you get some of the black on your applicator pad and then you're smearing it around, you could be intermingling some of that black paint in with the red. I'll talk about that a bit more in a second, but just this is just a shot of the front end of the car after doing the compound one time, doing obviously the hood and the fender on the driver's side. Passenger side fender, of course, we haven't touched yet, but you can clearly see the difference and the paint color really coming through. Now, again, a little bit more about me, really not knowing what I'm doing. I did the compound on the fender once, and then I switched to the polish, and I tried polishing this fender. And I tried it a couple different spots as well, but for some reason, the polish just didn't seem to work as well for me. If anything, it kind of just seemed to leave more of a film on that I couldn't actually get off. Maybe it would work better if I actually had some sort of DA, some sort of buffer to do it a little faster. I'm not really sure, but really the polish just didn't seem to make it look as much better as I thought it would. So experts in the comments, that would know more about that, let me know. Maybe it's just that this car really needed to do the two coats of the compound first to really get that out. I'm not really sure, or maybe I really again needed a DA or some sort of buffer to get a lot of speed on it. Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. But what I ended up doing for the most part is actually just running over with the compound on all the panels that I did. I just did the compound once, and then a day later, I did it again on the same panels because I could still kind of see certain areas where the white-ish pink color was coming through. And honestly, sometimes I ended up just using that microfiber cloth that I was using to remove the compound. I found that kind of running through with that when it actually still had some of the compound like on it, like a fresh cloth didn't seem to work honestly quite as well sometimes to really remove some of the compound. Again, I don't know. This might sound like gibberish to someone who really knows what they're doing, but that was part of the tricky balance of doing this whole thing. Honestly, was just kind of figuring out exactly when to kind of remove the compound after you apply it, and or just making sure you're getting it off without leaving too much on or adding too many like swirls or kind of stuff like that. But a little bit more about the trim pieces that I talked about earlier. Again, what I did here is I just tried not to get too close to the trim, so I wouldn't kind of smear any different colors. So obviously, in this case, mostly the black. I didn't want to get kind of black smudges in the paint. So if you're really doing this proper, you're probably just removing your trim pieces or at least taping them off in this process. Again, just so that color doesn't really kind of blend over. Speaking of that, that's part of the reason on the trunk here too, where the rear wing used to be, where I wanted to remove the old kind of gasket that, of course, was glued down. So I wanted to remove that on both sides of the car. I ended up using a little bit of Goo Gone, sprayed some Goo Gone on, and then utilized a razor blade to scrape that garbage off. Not the most fun again, but Goo Gone does work pretty well, and from what I can tell, it wouldn't really upset your paint, but of course just kind of wipe it off, get it off of your car when you're done, and then clean it up again before you start doing any compounding or buffing or any of that stuff. Get all that Goo Gone washed off of there, of course, because you don't want to really spread that into the paint. You just want to get it off. So this was actually the second day of working on this, where you can see I still didn't do this rear quarter panel at all yet. So I'm gonna cut to just having done that. And of course, you can see the difference. It's crazy how much better this car can look. Still got one more door to go, the driver's side rear door. Need to go ahead and do that as well. I will say, also speaking to the bumper and the side skirts, I feel like someone repainted them on this car and put clear coat on them, because obviously the clear coat was coming off of the bumper and the side skirts. So I'm not sure if someone just tried to fix those once in a different way, because obviously you can see that their clear coat is actually peeling off. So they must have did a two-stage kind of paint on that, I'm assuming. Another neat thing is this compound worked great for just shining up my headlights. So before and after of just kind of the same process, I used a different applicator pad, but I was definitely able to make my headlights look a lot cleaner, a lot more clear, get that cloudiness out of them as well. Now, this is the point where I actually did the second compound attempt on that front right fender. And you can see the difference now a little bit between the fender and the door. Even though the door is more red, you could definitely see that it had some white to it as well. Again, I removed that hood vent so I could just get a little closer in there without worrying about the black kind of smearing over. And now I've actually done pretty much the whole passenger side except for the quarter panel. Again, you can see some of that white coming through. And again, I don't know if I just didn't get this wiped off as much as I should have, this compound. But basically, I just kind of ran through and did the compounding again because it's been 10 years since this car has had this done or more. And this car used to be in Hawaii. That's part of the reason I think it got so faded. It was in the sun a lot. So I think, if there's enough paint there and you're not wearing through, I think it's, in my case, it seemed okay to try to do the compounding more than once. So here it is. This is kind of the final product. It's crazy to me how much brighter, shinier it is. I guess, again, I really hope this will last for a couple years where I don't have to do this a lot. I did wax it already at this point as well. Just kind of sprayed on some wax. I maybe should have got a little nicer wax where you wipe it on and wipe it off. Don't know. I had some spray wax here, so I just went with that just to try to protect it, of course. And here it is out in the sunlight just a couple of hours ago, honestly. So I had it out in the sun, admiring the fact that it looks like a real nice car again. So the black trim, of course, needs to be touched up. I'm going to work on that in the future too. There's black pieces that are kind of faded that should be repainted. I honestly want to make either the door handles black or repaint them or get some RS door handles because, I'm a poser. I want to make it look like an RS Evo since it's red. And back when my red Evo was still pink, I did take it to its first racing event. It performed awesome. I was pretty happy with my driving. Went up to Norway Speedway, did some spectator racing there. I got other videos on my channel posting those races if you want to check those out as well, if you happen to miss those. But it was great to get this red car out after putting in so much work to get it together and have it perform so well. So there you have it, everybody. That is everything I kind of have in this video. Again, if you've done a lot of body work or if you've done this before, go ahead, let me know some tips and tricks in the comments down below. Help other people out. I also really want to say that I don't think all EVO 8 colors are this single stage. I'm pretty sure it's just the red and the white. Single stage paint is usually only on like the solid colors. So like I think the red and the white potentially are single stage, but since the black and like the silver has like this metallic kind of pearl in it, I don't believe that's a single stage paint. That's probably a two-stage paint. All that to say, again, do more research before you try to do this on your specific Evo. But if you do have a red Evo that is sun faded, this should probably help you out. So as always, this is Paul from Boosted Films saying thanks so much for watching. I just want to say that domestic violence is never okay. If you or someone you know is experiencing issues with a partner and doesn't feel safe, please visit the website thehotline.org or call 1-800-799-SAFE.